Could you find joy in any circumstance? If the worst things happen in your life, are you able to cultivate joy in the midst of that? That is what we're going to address today on Flourish-Meant. I'm your host, Tina Yeager. Flourish-Meant is part of the Spark Media Network and can be heard on the Edify app. Today, we have a remarkable guest with us, JT Jester. He is an entrepreneur, philanthropist, podcaster, inspirational speaker, an experienced mountaineer, extreme skier, and adventurer who was born with a life-threatening syndrome as well as extreme dyslexia and short-term memory loss. In spite of this, he has grown to establish the JT Mestdagh Foundation to bring encouragement, hope, joy, and laughter to people with physical and learning disabilities and their families. He's here to share with us how to find joy in any circumstance. Welcome, JT. I'm so honored to have you on the show and to really share your story with everyone who's listening so they can find inspiration and joy no matter where they are.
Tina, thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited to be here with you today and talk a little bit about story and how important and how true it is that we all have an amazing story to share. And our stories are continuously being written.
So tell us a little bit about how your story evolved.
Yeah.
Were you always able to find joy? You went through tremendous amount of surgeries at a very young age. I'm sure that was painful, and there were times when you didn't experience joy. Talk to us about how you came from that place to learning to cultivate joy in every circumstance.
Yeah. So Tina, I have a new book out and it's called No Bad Days, How to Find Joy in Any Circumstance. And the title No Bad Days actually comes from one of those moments that you're talking about, in where I was in the hospital and my dad came and leaned over my bed and said, JT, I'm sorry you're going through this. I'm sorry, that you're going through this pain and discomfort. And I turned to him, I said, Dad, it's okay. There's no bad days. There's only hard days, and we get through them. And that's sort of been a life motto of me and my family. And in this new book, it's so true that we are blessed every day to wake up and have the things that we have and the air around us to breathe. And every day is a blessing, but there definitely are hard ones. And my journey starts off at birth. My hard days started right there. I had what was called VACTERL syndrome. It was a birth defect that was not traceable at the time during birth. And so my parents thought and expected to have a healthy baby. But from there, the journey just started. And the doctors took me into the NICU, and I'd spend the first 10 days of my life there. And they would discover that I had VACTERL syndrome. And this is a birth defect that affects your GI system, can affect your limbs, it can affect your heart, it can affect your kidneys, your spinal cord, and lots of different things. But for me, I was blessed. I only had a few of these things. And at first, these things were that were needed to be taken care of was the GI system. And so from my esophagus all the way down to my anus was non-functioning and did not work properly. So I had no motility from the top down. I had what they call tracheoesophageal fistulas. And these are endless pathways that do not attach to your stomach. And with that, you cannot eat, you cannot do things that we need to do. And so the doctors immediately repaired that. And then from there, I had what they call imperforated anus. So I couldn't go to the bathroom. So I had a colostomy bag on my stomach for the first few years of my life until those lower parts were able to be put back together. And then the colostomy was then reversed. And then I did a glorified enema for, well, the rest of my life now, to irrigate my system. But as the journey continued, those first early years of my life were very much so with the GI system and surgeries on that. And then we discovered more things coming about with that. And and as I grew older, we continued to have had about 16 surgeries since birth. And it, one stay that I've had at a hospital has been over 200 and some days, uh, working through things. But with that being said, as I got older, I developed passions for different things and things that I love to do, which we can talk more about too. But the medical still continued. And throughout middle school and high school, I had what they call tethered spinal cord. And it was something that very well could come about with VACTERL syndrome. And it did for me. And they noticed it in those years of my life. And so what it is where your spinal cord attaches to your sacrum nerves. So as you're growing, it's pulling on those nerves. And so what they have to do is go in there and release that, because it can cause damage to, what we started to notice was I had a limp, I had loss of bladder control, I had lots of things were popping up that were abnormal and not good. And so we were blessed to have very amazing surgeons along our way that have gotten me to where I am today.
You're able to climb mountains now and do extreme skiing and hunting and all of these amazing things after all of these surgeries. That's pretty miraculous. Do you feel like some of that healing has to do with the mindset that you've chosen and the faith that you have anchored yourself in?
Yeah. I think that is so true. Like the faith aspect. I've been blessed to be surrounded with very strong Christian family and everything. And my journey with faith, I think with the medical side is really where, um, I saw it and it blossomed, but where it really blossomed is kind of after some of those difficult medical days, because I was younger then. And so one time in particular or the time that I devoted my life to Christ was a time that I went to this camp, and it's in Everett, Michigan. It's called Spring Hill Camp. It's an incredible Christian camp and just a ton of fun. And I'd been going there for years. And for me to go to camp was a lot because my medical stuff, I had to do a bowel management program every day, and having to do that, with the nurse at the camp, it's a lot different than what I was used to. But um, it was just a fun, safe place that I could enjoy my time with my friends and my tribe of people. And so as I was there, they had campfires every night. And one night, on my journey going there, we had this campfire, and they said, whoever would like to stay and talk to the camp counselors, or pray, or whatever you would like to do, stick around. And I did. And that was the night that I devoted my life to Christ. And it just, we all are so blessed to have those moments in our life where we have our people around us to support us and to drive us to do the things that we want to achieve and become. And so I always talk about how important it is to have your tribe, and who is your tribe, and where does it start from? It starts from the good Lord, and then your family, and then your friends, and it's so important.
How old were you when you made that statement about there are no bad days, only hard days? Do you know how old you were when you
Yeah,
said that?
I think I was probably around, probably not, 7 or 8 years old, probably right in there. And I joke because that for a youngster to say that, yeah, I think it was the good Lord talking.
Yeah, so that was
But
definitely a profound and impactful statement that just had to have had a huge percussive effect on everybody around you.
yes, yes. And there's a few things that I think are so important in life, and it's obviously having a strong attitude, a good attitude, and a positive attitude, and then also putting a smile on every day. And that was something that I've been blessed with, and I just really enjoy is being able to share that smile with people.
Well, I am absolutely awestruck at the positive attitude that the Lord has just beamed through you and is affecting everyone whose lives your life is touching. You would think that everyone is around you to take care of you, but instead, I believe that God has used you to really be a greater blessing to the people around you because of how inspiring your mindset and your tenacity and your perseverance has just really been to everyone that you've touched. When we come back from this next quick break, I want to get into some advice you might have for other people who may not experience that kind of mindset, how they can go from being focused on the negative to really centering themselves on God's truth and God's presence and God's power, and how to really have no bad days, no matter their circumstance. So let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. Meet the Christian who married faith with true crime, Lori Morrison. Lori is a person of faith, a private investigator, and the producer of the award-winning podcast, The Unlovely Truth, where faith and true crime intersect. Lori and I would like to invite you to join the True Crime Mission Fields program, a life-changing opportunity exclusively joining Christians who have married faith and true crime. Featuring chaplain Lori Prather, the products within the True Crime Mission Fields program allow you to connect your passions and skills as Christians with practical service opportunities within the world of true crime. You will begin to serve people in difficult circumstances and have a greater impact in this world than you ever imagined possible. Access your free report, Meet the Christian Who Married Faith with True Crime, and receive up to 70% off of any collection when you use the link in the show notes. And we're back. We're here today on Flourish-Meant with JT Jester, and he is going to share with us how we can begin to have joy in any circumstance, no matter what. So for the person who is in a place where they're not able to really grasp joy, would you speak to that person's heart right now and tell them where they can start finding joy in their lives?
Yeah. So, in the book, No Bad Days, I talk a lot about how we all have our own story that we're writing every day, and the good Lord's writing for us. And in that journey that we're on, we're going to have our ups and downs. I mean, not every day is going to be the best day, and we're going to have our hard days, and we're going to fall. And, when it comes to falling, we have to learn how to fall. And I learned this through a sort of the adventure side of things with my life that I've loved. I had a person in my life who his name's Lottie, and he has taught me everything I know about my love and passion for the outdoors and being in nature and being in God's country, as I call it. And so the first time I met Lottie, he was a ski coach of mine. And he said, JT, you've been skiing for several years, but I'm going to teach you how to fall. And so we're going up this chairlift, and we get to the top, and in my head, I'm like, why are we going to learn how to fall? Like, that seems counterintuitive to what we're doing here. So we get to the top and we ski over to the edge, and he goes, okay, JT, follow after me. And he falls to the left and he falls to the right, and he keeps popping back up, and he keeps doing it. And then he says, okay, now you try. And I do it to the left, to the right. And I'm figuring out how to get back up each time. And then I sit there and think about it. And I realize that, this activity of falling is also helping me get back up faster. And it's also teaching me how to prevent the fall next time. And that was so crucial in ski racing and in skiing. But it's not just in that sport that it's important. It's important in our everyday life, and being able to fall and get back up is so crucial. And in some ways that you can do that. And like you were saying, how do you strive to have that positive attitude? And knowing that you're going to fall, it's going to happen, but trying to have the best outlook on things, and also surrounding yourself with the people to help you get back up. The tribe of people. I talk about how crucial our tribe is, and having that solid foundation of people around us that are going to be there for us in the most challenging times, but also going to be there for us in the good times. And it's someone that you can lean on, someone you can trust, and someone that, will be able to be there for you, and being able to open up to someone um, allows them to open up to you because they trust you as well, that you're sharing that information with them. And with both of you in trusting each other and doing that, you can help each other so much, and learn so much too along the way.
I love those bits of advice. It's so important for everyone to have the right kind of people around you that you can trust, that are going to help you lift yourself up after you fall. And I also love that you're telling us to expect to fall, not to try to live life in fear of if you might fall. Just
Yeah.
expect to fall and know that you can get up after that fall because you have God and you have the people around you that are going to help you get up. I think we spend so much of our time and our energy and our thoughts on being afraid of preventing anything
Mhm.
from happening. Do you feel that that was something that was a benefit to you, that you didn't have people that sheltered you the way that many people with kids with special needs or medical
Yeah.
issues would shelter their children and make sure nothing happened to them? You were allowed to go to camp. You were able to get out there in the outdoors,
Totally.
and those are some things that
Yeah.
most people don't let their kids do, especially if they're deemed medically at
Yeah.
risk.